Starting off this countdown, we have Satan. People have tried to contact Satan a number of times. All encounters end badly. According to an urban legend, there's a portal to hell in Blue Ash, Ohio. It's been given the name Satan's Hollow, and it's the place where a group of Satanists like to meet and conduct rituals. Apparently at night, residents have heard screams coming from there. This cult has sacrificed a number of members for Satan. But invoking Satan is a really bad idea, even if you want to become a loyal follower to him. A number of people have been possessed by him upon doing so, like Carl V, for example, a psychology professor who became possessed by Satan after reenacting a ritual he saw himself perform in a dream. He had to get exorcised by famous priest Malachi Martin. Martin said that Carl changed physically when he was possessed. His eyes specifically looked evil, and his face contour completely changed. Martin said, and I quote, "I have smelt the breath of Satan and heard the demon's voices, cold, scratchy, dead voices carrying messages of hatred." So yeah, don't try and bother to contact Satan, please.
Number 9, Merlin. We all know Merlin. He's one of the most famous characters from English myth. Being the guy who helped King Arthur, it must be easy to become king when you have a wizard in your back pocket. But what if he isn't myth? What if the character is real and is still walking around to this day? There's evidence of characters like Merlin or Merlin himself popping up again and again through English history. Some people believe that he's still alive and still protecting the royal family. Maybe if he's still alive, he should retire from protecting some of the richest people in the world and help out the rest of us. Why not cast a spell that gives me a good night's sleep for once? Number 8, Hercules. One of the buffest dudes in history. If you don't know the story of Hercules, he was basically a demigod and he wanted to be a god. And the gods told him, if you want to be a god, you gotta show everyone how much of a stud you are. And he did. He killed a lion with his bare hands, then he killed a multi-headed fire-breathing hydra, and he went to the underworld and captured the gatekeeper of the underworld. This dude's a legend, and his core strength must have been insane. Now the story goes that he was never given his wish and granted godhood, but many people believe that the myth is wrong and this is just the story that was passed around. That the true story is that he was gifted his rightful god power and immortality. As long as he never told a soul, he would keep his godhood. I mean, you wouldn't want him to tell anyone because then there would be a bunch of people trying to kill stuff trying to become gods. Number 7, Sir Galahad. One of the most famous knights of the Round Table, the original boys club. I bet they all met in a treehouse. You had to climb a rope ladder to get into it. You could only get in if you knew the secret password, and there was a sign on the door that said no girls allowed. I might be mixing up King Arthur's knights with the Little Rascals. Anyways, Sir Galahad was the illegitimate son of Sir Lancelot and Elaine of Corbetic, and it said he is one of the people who has found the Holy Grail. Drinking from said grail is supposed to grant the person immortality. Now just like Merlin, Galahad is supposed to be one thing of legend, but some people believe that the knights did exist and are still in charge of secret underground cults to this day. If this is real, I would want footage of someone putting Galahad in one of Elon Musk's rockets and his face as he gets shot into space. Nothing like a 1,000-year-old man seeing what space looks like. Number 6, Conan OBrien. Let's take a hard left turn out of myth and turn into something that might be one of the strangest on the list. Late night TV show host Conan OBrien. Why, you may ask? Well, it's because of this picture. This is a comparison picture between Conan and a Civil War soldier. They are eerily close to each other. Maybe Conan is closer to Wolverine than the hilarious ginger comic we have all come to know and love. What if all his jokes are just a way he can cover up his PTSD from fighting in centuries of wars? I mean, good for him. To go from war vet to American celebrity, that's a big jump that almost no one could do. Maybe back on the battlefield, no one thought he was funny, so he became immortal out of sheer willpower, just so he could stay alive long enough to find his audience. Number 5, James Bedford. If you're going to die, but you have faith that in the future they'll be able to bring you back to life, then why not throw your body into a giant freezer? James Bedford was the first person ever to be cryogenically frozen. He was an American psychology professor at the University of California and wanted his body to be preserved for later days, just in case they ever figured out a way to bring frozen people back from the dead so they could walk around again. If this was ever to happen, he would be first in line. He passed away in 1967, and right after he was pronounced legally dead, they threw him in a big chest freezer and set it to Ice Age. I'm sure it was more scientific than that, but you get the idea. Now, we haven't come across the technology to resurrect this guy, but if we do, he's gonna get the Captain America treatment and be very close to being immortal. Number 4, Hugh Glass. Have you ever seen The Revenant? The movie where Leonardo DiCaprio has the worst weekend ever? Well, in that movie, he plays frontiersman Hugh Glass. Now, Hugh Glass was mauled by a bear and left for dead and had to trek for miles and miles with broken bones and brutal wounds and survived. How did he do this? Well, the history books said he did this with grit, determination, and pure survivalist instincts. But the deep dark corners of the internet have other opinions. Some people are pushing the idea that he's an immortal or has some sort of Deadpool healing factor. This would allow him to survive such a brutal attack and make it back to full health. And if this is true, he might still be alive to this day, keeping his healing ability secret from the public. Number 3, Jack Lucas. One of the biggest bad all time. This guy literally might be unkillable. I don't want to trash talk him because I'm pretty sure he would find me and come beat the hell out of me. Jack Lucas fought in World War II, and while serving, he jumped on 2 Japanese grenades and survived both explosions. And not like barely even survived, he kept serving in the army. Maybe back then Japanese craftsmanship wasn't what it is now. After this, he became a paratrooper, and on one of his jumps, his chute didn't deploy. Now you think plummeting to the earth would surely just kill you. Not Jack Lucas. His buddies found him alive and well. This dude is probably like a werewolf or a robot or like a robot werewolf. Number 2, Roy Benavides. We're gonna stay on this trend of people who could beat up anyone's dad with Roy Benavides. Roy Benavides was a special forces officer. He stepped on a landmine in 1965 and he was told he would never walk again. And he was like, not only am I gonna walk again, I'm gonna go back and fight in war again. And he did. He fought in the Vietnam War. During one battle, he was leading a small troop and they were under attack by over 1,000 Vietnamese soldiers. By the time the fighting was done, he had been wounded by either gunfire, knives, or shrapnel 37 times. 37! He was pronounced dead and put in a body bag. Then, he came back to life and unzipped the body bag he was inside. Death probably looked at this guy and was like, nah, you're too much for me. We're trying to build a nice neighborhood over here. You stay alive. Number 1, Tsutomu Yamaguchi. What's the worst week you've ever had? Whatever it is, I bet it's not as bad as this guy. Tsutomu Yamaguchi was in Hiroshima in 1945 when the first atomic bomb dropped. He obviously survived. I mean, he's on our list of immortals. He did sustain some injuries. His skin was burned and one of his eardrums was ruptured. But for an atomic bomb dropping, that's like leaving relatively unscathed. So he was injured and he went home to Nagasaki. 3 days later, he was at work sharing his crazy story of how he saw the atomic bomb get dropped. And then, if you know your history, the second atomic bomb was dropped and the dude survived again. He took back-to-back atomic bomb bombings and walked away with an earache. This dude could very well be immortal or at least radiation proof. At number 10 we have Orlando Bloom. We'll kick off this list with a man who's so handsome it would probably make more sense if he actually was immortal. His cheekbones are so sharp he could cut wood with them, and then he would use that wood to build a nice romantic fire and then stare deep into your eyes. Only if dreams really did come true. Well, this heartthrob has been making more than hearts just throb for maybe over 100 years because he looks a lot like this Romanian painter. This guy is Nicolae Grigorescu, and the two of them have a striking resemblance. Maybe they just look similar. Maybe they were separated at birth. Well, the latter obviously isn't the case because all of you at home can tell how old this picture is. In fact, it's from 1877. So has Orlando been giving sweet dreams to all the girls since before he was chasing around Jack Sparrow and saving Middle Earth? I hope so. I never want those luscious locks and diamond jawline to go away. We need it.
Moving on to number 9, we have Leviathan. Leviathan is known as the Crown Prince of Hell. He is one of the 7 princes of hell as well as its gatekeeper. He also represents the sin of envy and is said to be the embodiment of chaos. In the Bible, Leviathan is described as a massive sea creature that lurks the waters. It's depicted as having a dragon's head on a sea serpent's body with lots of tentacles. So it's like a dragon, an eel, a snake, and an octopus all mashed together. In fact, some believe that the entrance of hell is in Leviathan's mouth. It's said that when he opens his mouth, a sweet smell comes out, luring people inside. When his jaw closes, you're in the depths of hell. Imagine trying to make contact with this dude and a massive sea creature just floods your home and swallows you whole. No thanks. In our 8th spot, we have Beelzebub. So Beelzebub's name translates to Lord of the Flies. As a result, he is often depicted as an evil fly or as a man with wings. In Christian texts, the name Beelzebub is often associated with the devil himself. They would alternate between using this name and Satan. He is considered one of the 7 princes of hell, and he is associated with the sin gluttony. In other texts, he is described as the lieutenant of hell, second in power only to Satan. Now you may be like, oh, he's just a fly, big deal, I own a fly swatter. Well, he has actually possessed a number of people in real life, including women from the Salem witch trials. Story goes that he possessed the souls of those who were accused of being witches. When they were set on fire, swarms of flies exited their mouths. Over the years, he possessed a number of other individuals, including Annalise Michel, who underwent 67 exorcisms to try and get Beelzebub and other demons out of her body, Nicole Aubry, who was possessed by 30 spirits, and Father Louis Godfredi. He was also possessed by Beelzebub and ended up getting burned at the stake in 1611. Enough said, don't try and make contact with him. Moving on to number 7, we have Astaroth. This dude is the first Prince of Thrones as well as the Treasurer of Hell. He's depicted as an ugly man riding upon a dragon while holding a snake in his left hand. Others say he's this half-white, half-black humanoid. Either way, he is terrifying and should not be messed with. Now, this demon is at its strongest on Fridays from 10 to 11 p.m. Meaning if you summon him at that time, not only are you stupid, but you're pretty much a goner. Now, if you do summon him, it's said not to stand too close to him because he emits a foul odor. Not only that, but he is the ruler of 40 legions of souls and spirits, which he can use as a weapon to attack you. In our 6th spot, we have the Behemoth. And just like his name, this guy is massive. So he is usually depicted as an elephant walking on its hind legs while holding its swollen, protruding stomach. Other times he can appear as a hippo or even a crocodile. He is also known as the devil cupbearer and serves as a cook for Satan, so he brings him his food and wine. In fact, the Satanic Bible describes Behemoth as the Hebrew version of Satan. I don't know about you, but I personally would not mess around with an anthropomorphic animal. Not only that, but when dealing with humans, he has the power to create absolute chaos in their lives. So like every other demon on this list, don't mess with him. We are now at our 5th and halfway mark with the Wendigo. The Wendigo is said to be the most feared monster in all of Algonquin folklore. Now, the Wendigo has been depicted in a number of ways. Most people agree that he is super tall and gaunt with antlers and its skin pulled tightly over its bones. Upon eating humans, it would grow in size, however, it will never lose its gaunt appearance. In one origin story, it's believed that this creature evolved from a lost hunter, whose hunger and the extreme cold weather drove him to eat other humans. Now, it is considered a terrifying flesh-eating demon that can possess people and turn them into human-eating monsters. A number of people have experienced real-life encounters with the Wendigo. One man was chased through the forest by this beast and was left severely injured. Another man went out looking for him and never returned home. His body was found days later, severely mutilated. Officers said the markings on his body were not from any animal that they are familiar with. In our 4th spot, we have Azazel. In Jewish legends, Azazel is a demon or evil spirit who sent a scapegoat bearing sins. In fact, his name is said to translate into scapegoat. The ritual was carried out by the high priest who transferred all the sins of the citizens to the scapegoat and sent it to the wilderness. Most Jewish literature describe him as having a red appearance, like a demon, with yellow eyes, and wearing a goat's skull. Whereas in other texts, he is described as having 7 heads, 14 faces, hands, and feet like a man, with 6 wings on the right and 6 wings on the left of his back. Okay, stop right there. 7 heads, 14 faces? No, that's not okay. That is nightmare fuel, and I would drop dead just by looking at that thing. Moving on to number 3, we have Zozo. I've talked about this demon before and just how dangerous summoning it can be. The thing is, a number of people still summon it, but by complete accident. Zozo is a malicious demon that will trick Ouija board users. It will pretend to be a lost soul or the spirit of a deceased loved one. When you try to make contact with it, it will possess you or make your life a living hell. So he is said to target mentally unstable and vulnerable Ouija board users. In fact, over the years, he has been linked to a number of murders and suicides all over the world. Like I said, you might be using an Ouija board thinking you're talking to your dead grandma or something, when in reality, it's Zozo messing with you and ready to take control of you. And once he latches onto you or you welcome him into your home, it's very hard to get rid of him. In our second spot, we have Bathsheba. If you've seen The Conjuring, then chances are you are familiar with this demon. It's the demon that was haunting the Perron family, who the movie The Conjuring was based on. The movie might have exaggerated some elements, but Bathsheba is a real demon that haunted this family. Bathsheba Sherman used to live on their property in Harrisville, Rhode Island back in the mid-1800s. She was a Satanist that killed a number of neighbors. When she died, her spirit latched onto the house and killed several of the homeowners. Some drowned, a few hung themselves in the attic, another one was murdered. Now, apparently Ed and Lorraine Warren did exorcise this demon, amen to that, so don't try summoning her, okay? Watch The Conjuring to find out why that's a very, very bad idea. And in our number 1 spot today, we have Asmodeus. Now, this dude is the definition of horrifying. Just take a look at him. He's depicted as the chest and head of a man spitting fire with 2 heads sticking out of his body. So he has a total of 3 heads. One is obviously the man spitting fire, then the other head is of a sheep, and the other is the head of a bull. Then he's depicted as riding a lion with wings, but the lion has a weird long serpent neck, and he's got legs of a chicken. Now, tell me that that's not nightmare fuel. Not only this, but in some texts he's referred to as the demon of lust. He's known to twist people's sexual desires, and those that are fooled by him will be sentenced to an eternity in the 2nd level of hell.
Number 10, Memnon. We're kicking this list off with one of the greatest warriors ever. Memnon was said to be an immortal warrior from Greek mythology, who was one of the best warriors in the land, second only to the great Achilles. He's an Ethiopian king and really the most prevalent African figure in all of Greek mythos. It's said that he was killed by the only man who was a better warrior than him, Achilles, who might have also been immortal. Maybe it was like South Park rules. It takes an immortal to kill an immortal. Number 9, Alex Chu. Now, there's no way of really proving you're immortal. It's something you would just have to trust someone on. And since no one has done it before, you can bet most people who say they aren't actually immortal. And this guy might be one of them. Alex Chu is 48 years old, and the dude says he's unlocked the secrets to immortality. He says he has done this through what he calls immortality rings. I feel like you guys all know where this is going, but I'm just gonna keep breaking down Alex Chu's philosophy for you. So he claims he uses these rings to make his cells regenerate. So these rings basically turn you into Wolverine. Oh my god, why didn't I think of that? Or any of the other billions of people living on this earth. He made these so-called power rings by modernizing ancient Chinese medicine. And here's the best part that I know you've all been waiting for. You can buy these rings on Amazon. Yes, the power of eternal youth can be yours for just 6 easy payments of $49.99. Why wait on living forever when you can start right now? I think you can always tell when someone's trying to screw you over if they're trying to sell you something in the process. Number 8, Leonard Jones. You know, if you get the nickname Live Forever, you might be the guy who's actually figured out how to beat the Reaper. Either that or everyone around you is mocking you, like when they call a guy who's 4'11" big guy.
Go ahead and attack me, big guy.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
I never get tired of that clip. Well, Leonard Jones was a politician back in the 1800s, and he had a lot of people convinced that he was immortal. He even ran for president on a campaign about being immortal, and he said he was going to make his voters immortal. That's a bold move, dude. Like, how do you plan on getting the young voters? Magic. He didn't end up becoming president, obviously, I think because his keys to becoming immortal were you were never allowed to be immoral. And and that you had to pray a lot. I think that everyone was like, I would rather have sex and die than live my whole life a huge nerd. And it seems like he didn't follow his own rules because at age 70 he died. Or maybe he just tricked us and he's still alive somewhere, watching all of us have fun and party while he's not allowed to eat shellfish. Number 7. Betty Lou Oliver. I mean, we've all had bad days. Sometimes you wake up and everything starts going wrong. You go to make your coffee and you're out of coffee. You go to have a shower and the pipes froze. You check your Facebook and someone leaked your nudes. But nothing can match the level of trash Betty Lou Oliver went through. It was New York in July of 1945. There was a major fog that was covering the city, so all the planes that were flying through had to do so in terrible visibility. I'm pretty sure back then if you had to land a plane, you did it with luck and a wish from a genie. Well, one of these planes got lost in the fog and smashed into the Empire State Building. This killed 11 people and sent Betty Lou flying back, breaking a bunch of her bones, including her pelvis. Betty got put into the No Love Club. When police and paramedics arrived to rescue her, they had to take her down the elevator because she obviously couldn't walk with a broken pelvis. When they were going down, the elevator cord snapped and she fell 75 stories. And Betty Tough as Nails Oliver survived, while breaking the record for surviving the longest elevator fall. I mean, if she's not immortal, she's got at least 5 stars on durability, but just 1 star for luck. Number 6. Boris Kipper Yanovich. In the year 2000, there was a kid who started to get some big time fame because he told everyone that he was immortal. Not only that he was immortal, but that he came from Mars. We got a combo one here, a Martian that can live forever. And if you're wondering if he's got more crazy theories about himself, he does. Now that he's older, he claims that he used to take trips between here and Mars so he could do surveillance on the human race, and that other Martians do this too. We never see them because they live underground. Way to spill the beans, dude. If there are Martians underground, they're probably like, what the hell, man? Why are you blowing up my spot? Number 5. Royce C Sullivan. This is another person on the list who has the worst luck imaginable. If you thought falling down an elevator shaft with a broken pelvis was unlucky, try getting struck by lightning 7 times. Royce C Sullivan has the record for the most times struck by lightning, and it never took him out. He got burned a few times but never died. He's probably carrying around an amulet of Zord, which gives you +7 to lightning resistance. He shot himself in 1993, but that might have been him faking his own death because people were starting to catch on that this guy can't be killed. Number 4. The Wandering Jewish Man. This is a perfect case of knowing when to shut your mouth. The story of the Wandering Jewish Man is that he had front row tickets to the crucifixion, and as Jesus was passing him with the cross, he told him to pick up the pace. So Jesus did the sly move of putting a curse on him so he would walk the earth until Jesus returned for the second coming. Bad move, dude. If this story is real, I bet this guy probably has a podcast where he talks about what the Jets need to do to win a Super Bowl, even though he's never played football a day in his life. This guy probably has never learned. Number 3. Gene Roddenberry. All of you Star Trek nerds out there know this guy. He's the creator of Star Trek. He made one of the greatest franchises of all time for keeping the antisocial entertained. Well, what you might not know about this legend is he survived 3 plane crashes. This dude did Unbreakable before Bruce Willis had his first headshots. And these weren't simple little crashes. A bunch of other people died in these crashes. Gene may just be immortal, and that's why he survived. One of these planes was even on fire before it went down and then smashed right into a desert. They say he died from a heart attack, but I wouldn't be surprised if the aliens came down to give him some ideas for a new run of Star Trek, and then they all became good buds and he just decided to take off with them. I mean, if he is immortal. Number 2 on the list, the Immortal Monk. In 1926, the Buddhists had a big time stress. They're all trying to chill out and become enlightened and stuff, and then Stalin made the call to kill all these dudes. How are you gonna kill a bunch of Buddhist monks, dude? All they want to do is sit cross-legged and not get bothered by YouTube ads. Well, the leader of this tribe of monks told his followers to go into hiding while he went into a deep meditation. He said he would come out in 75 years, and this guy was meditating to win. He was buried in the lotus position, and then 75 years later, he was dug up and he was dead. However, his body was in pristine condition for how long it had been buried. It was like McDonald's used the same stuff they used to keep their food preserved, they used on this monk so he wouldn't rot away. The monks from his village believe that he's in such good condition because he's still in a meditative state, and he will return when he's ready to break from living in nirvana. If I was him, I would wait till after we fix global warming. Number 1 on the list is Shi Huang. This guy was the emperor of China, and his dynasty lasted over 400 years. He was a huge hit with the people too, They were so in love with him that they thought he was a god and he was destined to live forever and rule over them forever. He humored his followers by sending out people to try and find all sorts of fountains of youth. I want people to like me so much. I want them to want me to live forever and me to be their king forever. It must be so good for your self-esteem. What ended up happening was he poisoned himself with mercury. Back then they thought the cool liquid metal could make you live forever, but it just makes you go crazy and then you die. Or did it work and now he's part of the shadow government that runs the world? Really, either or is possible.